socio-demographic characteristics and other factors associated with depressive illness among medical students at the University of Port Harcourt. I'll be using this outline. The burden of depression as a mental disorder has continued to increase. And of course, this has constituted enormous public health concern among many age groups. Undergraduate medical education, of course, comprises a strenuous study and spans over 5 to 6 years in many clients. This period involved, and the content of the program often predisposed, especially the vulnerable ones, to a number of psychological problems, particularly anxiety and depression. The current educational process may have a negative effect on students' mental health, especially when it is not properly structured, with a high frequency of anxiety and depression among medical students. The constant drive towards perfectionism, coupled with desire for always to be exceptional, and the unique environment of study may all contribute additional stress to students undergoing medical study. Therefore, the aim of this study was to determine the socio-demographic and other factors associated with depression among medical students in our university. The design was a cross-sectional, descriptive cross-sectional study. The study was carried out in the University of Port Harcourt. Approval was given. The university currently has about 35,000 to 40,000 students. The College of Health Sciences has many divisions related to medical students, have clinical science and faculty of basic medical sciences. There was a total of 725 medical students of health sciences in the university, out of which the distribution in the different classes as shown here. Year 1 students were excluded because in our university, Year 1 is still where you study preliminaries of biology, chemistry, and physics, at the end of which, if you qualify, you can now enter Year 2 to now be exposed to the core medical courses like physiology, anatomy, and medical biochemistry. Hence, the total students from Year 2 to 6 were what's found there. Stratified random sampling was used. A proportionate sample was drawn for medical students from Years 2 to 6, exception of Year 4 again, because they were not in session as at the time of this study. The study spanned over a period of 7 months. The self-administered socio-demographic questionnaire was used, and standardized depression scale, depression rating scale was also used. Items were framed in terms of positive and negative statements. A score above 70 shows severe depression. 69 suggests moderate depression. 20 to 49 shows mild depression. Analysis, relevant statistical analysis were done. First, ethical approval was obtained. We found the following results. The study was carried out with 346 questionnaires distributed over the course of 4 weeks. 41 were not filled properly, making them invalid and bringing the total number of questionnaires returned to 305. The response rate was 88. Respondents within the age group of 20 to 24 years constituted the largest percentage with 149, that's about 47.9%, followed by age group of 25 to 29 with a total number of 98, while that of 35 to 39 was the least. Majority of the respondents were clinical students, consisting about 189, with the highest proportion of respondents belonging to years 5 class. The family position of the respondent revealed that 109 were firstborn children and 59 were lastborn. Only 5 of the medical students did not have any siblings, while 2 had more than 12 siblings. However, majority of respondents have 1 to 4 siblings. These were the distribution of the diagnosis found. Moderate, there was no record, no incident of severe depression, while moderate depression was about 4. Mild depression consisted about 21, more than 21. And then, of course, from the class distribution, you can see year 1 is about 60 to 57, year 3, 59, 5, year 5, 71, and of course, year 6 was 38. Now, we also look at the factors that were predisposing to these students having depression, possible factors. Those whose parents were living together, who agreed that their parents lived together, were 81%. Who agreed that mother was alive were 93%. Those who live alone were 31%. Those who were coerced to study medicine were just 7%. Family history of low mood had 16%. And those who have lost close relative in the recent past were as much as 39.2%. So we also try to look at the socio-demographic factors in relation to the depression. For age, those within the age group of 15 to 29, of that age group, you have 14 people and 16 people, while 14 had depression of 15 to 29 age group, and then 2 also had depression. For gender, it was 11 for female and 5 for male. At the faculty level, those in Faculty of Basic Medical Sciences were 9 who had depression, while those in Clinical Science had 7. Place of residence, we look at those residing on campus and those who were living off campus. Those who were living off campus had 6 who had depression, and then those who were on campus were 10 who had depression. Of those mothers who were alive, 16 said yes. Of course, all 16 had depression. Let's move on. We now look at academic factors that could lead to depression. We look at academic performance, whether it has dwindled in the recent past. And of course, for those who have mild depression, 9 of them agreed that the academic performance had dwindled, and then 2 who also agreed had moderate depression. For those whose performance felt that it was a true depiction of their efforts, for my depression, it was only 3, and of course, for moderate depression, only 2. Those who agree that they were under constant pressure to perform, for my depression, it was 3, and of course, 11 agreed. And for moderate depression, 2 agreed. Performance in latest assessment, we look at the grade excellent, those who had good, fair, and the poor. For those who had excellent results, the 1 person had mild depression, 9 had good, and then 2 while fair and 2 poor. For moderate depression, there was no record of anybody with excellent, a good 1, and of course, poor was also 1. We also did an association between clinical and other factors, and then depression using logistic regression. And of course, the figures we found were statistically significant for those who were consistently having low mood. It was statistically significant. The others were not. So there was an association between depression and having a close relative with family history of depression. From the study, the prevalence of mild depression was 4.6, moderate 0.7, and there were no respondents found with severe depression. From the results, majority of our respondents who were found to be depressed were female. There were more students found to be depressed in the lower classes. That's the basic medical sciences. And of course, this could be understood because there's more anxiety there. They do not seem to know their fate, many, whether they will cross to the clinical, that's mean continuing the program or not. Most of those found to be depressed fell into the age bracket of 25 to 29. Of course, no, this is young adolescents who just got admission, so that will definitely reflect their age group. The use of alcohol were 2.5 times more likely to be depressed. Use of cannabis were 2.35 times more at odds to be depressed. And those who use nicotine were 1.86 times more at odds to be depressed. Relative low prevalence may be due to an adaptive curriculum that is used at the university. It is flexible, and availability of learning materials to which the students were exposed, and of course, other factors. Security also seemed to have played some role. Those who were living in campus seem to be more secure than those who are living off campus in the neighboring communities. Family stability, counseling center, youth-friendly center, commitment of faculty members, and prohibition against psychoactive substance are other provisions that the university have put in place that may have helped to reduce the prevalence of depression as we compare to other studies done in other places. Our own was relatively low. In conclusion, the relatively low prevalence of depression among medical students at the University of Port Harcourt may be due to the adaptable curriculum and other friendly factors that are put in place by the university authority. We therefore recommend that efforts should be put in place to further reduce the prevalence and encourage healthy living among our future doctors. It is also needful for the school authorities, students' bodies, and religious associations and families as well to be aware of the risks of depression and continually reach out to and provide emotional support and encouragement for medical students particularly those who are vulnerable or living with depression. The student advisor mentorship structure should be improved upon so that students may be able to relate the academic challenges to their mentors, who in turn can offer solutions to them. Students should be encouraged to pursue extracurricular activities of interest to help ease off the stress of medical training. And finally, there are strong arguments for the inclusion of well-being in the medical curriculum, such as the impact of doctors' personal health and practices on their communication and patient's care. Thank you for your patience.
Thanks a lot. It was very interesting, and I'm happy that you was like it at last. Thanks.